Hey guys, welcome to this extra video on some of the grammar topics that you would have to study for your next unit test. If you go to page 138 of your textbook, you'll find the grammar reference. And the first topic is the past simple. And a past simple is a verb form that English-speaking people use to describe something that happened in the past. So you make a past simple by adding ed to the full verb, the infinitive. And very often, if you look at the time expressions, if you see one of these in your sentence, like last night, I worked at the cinema last night, I visited America last month, we had a really nice breakfast yesterday morning. These are all past simple time expressions that you will see in a sentence when a past simple is used. Now, most of the time you just add ed to make it a past simple, sometimes just a d when the verb ends with an e. And when a verb is a one-syllable verb, just one syllable like stop or plan, and it ends with a vowel and a consonant, you would have to double the p here and double the n. Otherwise you would say stoped or planed instead of stopped and planned, so you would have to double that. And when a verb ends with a y, you go ied. Don't go yed when you say study, studied. You go ied and not yed. For the past simple, the positive, this one is actually the same. The negatives, please do note that you would go didn't live. You don't say I live not in Madrid or I lived not in Madrid. You say I didn't live in Madrid. You also don't say I didn't lived in Madrid. You say didn't and the full verb. Same with questions. You go, did you like? You don't go, did you liked? Or liked you the film? No. Did you like? Did you enjoy? Did she enjoy? Did she work? Did she run? Yeah, so all of these are the full verb. Okay. Another thing to remember is that you have irregular verbs. So these are the regular verbs. These are irregular because they're different. In the past, you don't go beed or goed or canned. You go be, was, were. Go, you'd say went. Can, you'd say could. So there's a list for that you have to study on page 158, the past simple list. Okay, don't forget to study those. Then we have, another past simple form. These are all quite the same. And then we get to this bit called the adverbs. Now, what is an adverb? There's the word verb in adverb. So the word adverb says that, it's actually quite simple because an adverb describes a verb. If you look at this example sentence, you can say she ran, but you can also say she ran quickly. Here the word quickly, look at how in an adverb you add ly to the word quick, ly. This word says something about ran. She didn't just run, she ran quickly. Quickly says something about ran. So that's an adverb, and because it says something about the verb, you add ly. There are some exceptions here. Fast, it says something about drives. So you'll probably say, why don't you say he drives too fastly? That doesn't do it. In English, this is an exception. This is irregular. So you just say he drives too fast. This is the list that you have to know. Because we don't go goodly or hardly or earlily or fastly. We go good and well, hard and hard, early, fast, fast. One more thing to remember, if you take the word easy, you would say, you add ly, this was done easily. Ly, no. Again, just like we saw here with the word study, remember, y, you turn that into an I. It's the same here. We go easy, easily with an I. Well, these are prepositions. And then we have, this bit, the count and the uncount noun. Well, nouns we talked about, these are objects and things. If you want to know if it's countable, whether or not you can count something, you just have to pluralize it. And if you can make it plural, then it's probably countable. So you can go a book, 2 books, 3 books. Yes. 1 egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs. Yes, these are all countable. Can you go 1 bread, 2 breads? No. In English, you would say 1 loaf of bread or 2 loaves of bread. Can you go 1 rice, 2 rices? No. Can you go 3 monies? No, you can't. So these are all uncountable. Now, if a word is uncountable, if it's uncountable, you can't count it, we use much. If you can count it, we use many. So we say how much money, how much rice, how much bread, how much chocolate. But then when you say many and you use chocolate cookies, Cookies you can count. 1 cookie, 2 cookies, 3 cookies, 4 cookies. So we say how many cookies, how many chocolate cookies do you have? Yeah, so or apples. Yeah, so we use many for that. One more thing on Unit 8, the difference between some and any. When do you use some? When do you use any? Well, some is a word that we use when we describe a sentence that is positive, a positive sentence. So there is some bread, there are some oranges on the table. But we also use some in questions when we ask for things and offer things. So very often the answer to these questions would be yes. If you're at a restaurant and you say, can I have some coffee please? Then the waiter is probably going to say yes. When you say, would you like some grapes? You're offering it to a person. So chances are that the other person will say yes. So only then will you use some in questions. The word any, we use any in, look, all the other questions. And here, negatives. You see that? Because it's not. This is short for not. So we haven't got any rice. We haven't got any people. There aren't any people. And so any is used for negatives and questions, some for positives, and for questions when you offer something. Well, would, like, how much, we talked about these. Then we go over to the final one, which is Unit 9. We have the comparative and the superlative. The comparative is a word, or actually it's something that in grammar that we use to describe something. A comparative, it says compare. So it's about comparing things. So for instance, if we say London is bigger than Paris, then we compare London to Paris and we say it's bigger than Paris. The comparative, if we want to make a comparative like this, we have to add ER to the word. Look, old, older, safe, safer. See how safe ends with an E, so we just add the R. Big, bigger, hot, and hotter. Okay, so this is the comparative. Do note that when you compare, we use then with an A and not with an E. Please remember that. Yeah, it's with an A and not with an E. But we also sometimes have words. This is all one syllable, but sometimes you have words that consist of 2 or more syllables, like boring, beautiful. Yeah? Then we can't go boringer or boringest or beautifuler or beautifulest. Then we have to add more. We'd say it's more boring than the other movie I saw, or this movie was the most boring one ever. This is more beautiful than my city, or this is the most beautiful city. So the superlative, we talked about the comparative. Superlative is when you say that something really is the biggest, or it's the strongest, or it's the fastest, or it's the most beautiful, or it is the newest, or the safest. So the superlative is like the final step of your comparison. And you can see that over here, you add EST. Now, when adjectives, look here, when it ends with a Y, again, we have to go IER instead of YER, so we go noisier. It looks a bit strange, you see, but that's how it is. We go noisier like this, and noisiest, dirtier, and dirtiest. Yeah, okay. Some exceptions here: good, better, best, bad, worse, worst, far, further, furthest. Yeah, you can't go good, good, or goodest, bad, better, baddest. We go bad, worse, worst, and good, better, best. And this, I think, it kind of explains itself. So you just have to go ahead and read that a little bit. Well, this, just like we saw with the past simple form, we can't go fitter with just one T, because then you'd say fighter, or thinner with one N, you would say thiner. So because it's one syllable and it ends with a vowel and a consonant, you see I and an N, I and a T, we have to double that extra letter. Yeah, so then we say thinner and fitter. What we have, got, and have, well, the only difference between these, for instance, you can say, I have got a car, I have a car, I've got a house, I have a house, I've got a dog, I have a dog, so I have a garden, or I've got a garden. These are all the same. The biggest difference that you have to remember is that when you use have, it's usually when you write, and have got is very often when you speak English. Yeah, so that's the only difference we really want you to know. And the other things you can just read a little bit. The last thing that you would have to look at, if I'll take you to page 158 just quickly. And on page 158, you can find irregular verbs. Now, check here the base form and the past simple. And these two, you're going to have to learn all the forms of these, so you know that you'll be prepared to know that you just don't go become, becomes, but became. All right, that's it. Good luck studying. All right, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Bye-bye.